Good morning, everybody. Hey, so it's another Friday, guys. I'm Adam Gullett, Director of Growth with Century 21 Advantage Realty, and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Advantage Live Show. Hey, Jane, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Adam?
Doing well, doing well. So, guys, thank you all for coming in to another episode of this. Pretty excited about this one. We've got some good guests. The first and foremost is Kyle Seyboth. He is going to come on. He has some really impressive records, I will say. It's really cool. This man has sold a ton of real estate, a ton. And he was the number one agent nationwide, according to the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends in 2019. He was the number one agent in Keller Williams Realty 2016, 17, 18, and 19. He was the top 10 agent nationwide in the Wall Street Journal and also in 2018 as well. So really cool record. Really cool record.
Nationwide. That's amazing if you think about that.
It is. It really is. And he's no longer at Keller Williams. He's actually with Century 21 now. So it's really cool to have him, part of the franchise and be a part of the team and stuff. So it's really awesome. And guys, this is the part of the show where we just kind of hang out, give everybody a little bit of time to kind of get situated before we actually start the show and bring Kyle up. The other person we have coming on the show after we get done interviewing and having a conversation with Kyle is one of our very own, Mike Nolen. Mike Nolen is one of our agents out of our Richmond office. So we'll be having a good conversation with him as well. So be sure if you guys have a question during any one of these segments, just put Q in front of your question so we know that it is a question for the guest and not just a random comment. That would be extremely helpful. And then also, if you are watching this on the replay, be sure and put in the comments #TeamReplay so we know where our viewers are coming from. We appreciate you guys for coming in for another episode. And if you like what you are seeing, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell and also hitting the little thumbs up, smash that, because that does help us too. So, all right, guys, thank you all so much. So, Jane, it looks like we've got Kyle now. So let's go ahead and get started with the show and we will have some fun. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Advantage Live Show. I'm your host, Adam Gullett, Director of Growth with Century 21 Advantage Realty. And I am excited to be here, and I'm joined with my co-host,
Jane Politchek.
Jane, welcome to the show, and I'm looking forward to this one. We've got a really cool show in store for you guys. We got Kyle Seyboth coming on, and he is Century 21 Seyboth Team out of Rhode Island and Massachusetts area. Just a little bit about this guy before we bring him on. And it's going to be really cool to have a conversation with him and figure out how he runs his business. But he was the number one agent nationwide, according to the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends in 2019. He was the number one agent in Keller Williams Realty 2016, 17, 18, and 19. And then he's also was also in the Wall Street Journal Real Trends in 2018 as well. So really good statistics there, right?
Yeah, amazing.
Hard worker, for sure. And then right after getting with Kyle, we've got an interview with one of our very own, Mike Nolen, out of our Kentucky Richmond office. So we'll bring him on for our agent spotlight. All right, let's get on with the interview with Kyle Seyboth. All right, so we're getting ready to bring Kyle Seyboth into the stream here and have a great conversation with him. Before we do so, I want to read a quick introduction about him and who he is and where he come from. And you can kind of see right there on the screen some of his statistics right there, and we just covered those. But man, I'm telling you, it's impressive. So here's a little bit more about him before we bring him on. He was the founder of the Seyboth Team. Kyle Seyboth is one of the most trusted and top-selling realtors in Rhode Island. He truly values the trust that his clients place in him and is committed to working hard for every home buyer and seller. His responsiveness to clients and expertise in the local residential and commercial real estate market has earned him the top realtor nationwide for Keller Williams from 2016 through 2019 and Rhode Island Housing's Realtor of the Year. He was also recognized as the 2019 #1 national real estate producer by the Wall Street Journal, Real Trends. In 2019, he sold over 500 units, resulting in over 140 million in sales. As a seasoned property investor as well, he is also sought by real estate investors looking to grow their portfolios in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Wow. All I can say is, wow. What an impressive resume.
How busy he must be.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Can't wait to hear how he keeps it all straight.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So let's go ahead and bring Kyle up into the show. Kyle, hey, buddy, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you for coming in to the Advantage Live show, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So, at the very beginning, before we even get into all the meat of this whole conversation, man, would you be okay with having a little bit of a rapid fire question with you?
Go.
All right. Let's do it. Jane, you got one for him?
Yeah. What's the worst job you've ever had?
Fund accountant in Boston.
Accountant.
Fund accountant. No, fund. There's a big difference. This was like a trained monkey. That's what I was a trained monkey.
Trained monkey.
That's right. That's right. It was terrible.
Yeah. Okay. That does. Yeah. Nothing sounds exciting about being a trained monkey.
No. I was good at it though.
I bet you were, man.
You're good.
So, all right. What's your favorite gadget?
The iPhone.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So on that one, I'm sure you might be on there, but Clubhouse. Are you on Clubhouse?
Love Clubhouse. Yeah. I used it a lot past like month, and then we got so busy that I haven't been on it. But I find the stuff late at night is really helpful. Like I'll go on one at like 10, 11 o'clock at night and just kind of get in there and chime in. So Clubhouse is good. I'm with it.
Yeah, I just got on. I'm not even on it for a week yet. Johnny Knight got me on there. So
good guy.
It's pretty cool. There's like a really good, really early morning brainstorming session with some really strong business leaders. I get on that about 5:30, I guess it is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's definitely helpful, and I think it's going to really change it's going to change the game. It's really going to change the whole environment and change a lot of things. It already has. So it's how they monetize it. That's the question.
Oh, that's going to be their challenge for sure. And then also, you Facebook and Twitter and all them are going to start trying to figure out a way to
yeah, exactly. It's coming.
Replicate it.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
So Kyle, what's left on your bucket list?
What is left on my bucket list?
You've done so many things.
I have. You know what? I have been so fortunate in the past 5 years. The first 5 years were a real grind. The past 5 years have been a grind plus, but really fortunate enough to be invited to many different things and go to different places. Bucket list for me, I mean, I don't really have. I mean, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good. I mean,
you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's good.
I can go wherever I want.
Or
dude, I'm afraid of heights. I don't like water. I don't like beaches. So take that stuff off.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
I'm good. I just came back from the Super Bowl, so that was one of the big things for me. And I just went, so that was really, really something else.
Oh wow! So you were at the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow, man. Yep. That's definitely on my list. I would love to do that.
That's the one. Strange this year with all the cutouts and the space.
It was strange, but for me, I don't love crowds like that, so it was actually probably the best situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that. Yeah, and probably a little more enjoyable, to be honest, because of that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So as far as bucket list stuff goes, not really anything else. Just continue to do what we're doing here. Just keep grinding.
Yeah, that's right. All right, we'll transition now just into the meat of the conversation. And everyone that's watching, if you guys do have a question for Kyle as we go through this, feel free to drop that in the comments, and we'll pop that on the screen when the time comes. So, Kyle, kind of walk us through. You said you were a fund accountant. So, is that what you did before coming into real estate, or is that just a previous job before that? What did you do before you entered into real estate? So
I was in the corporate world for 10 years, worked in Boston, Massachusetts, which is from where I lived about an hour train ride. So did that, got out of college, went into mutual fund accounting. So in the investment world, thought that my path was going to be, always kind of trained and taught to go do a 9-to-5, go get benefits, have a good job. That's why you went to college, so on and so forth. So really followed that for 10 years until I realized that just wasn't for me. And I've told this story before, and I'll tell it again. I'll never forget going in somewhere at 9 o'clock and just watching the clock go from 9 to 5, 9:01, 9:02, 9:03, like literally every single day for 10 years. And what I thought it was, hey, I don't have the right job. Like I need to go switch jobs in the sense that like this job's just not for me. Let me go to another company. This job's not for me. Let me go to another company. I did that. I was like a job hopper. So I was like worked at probably 10 different places in 5 years. And I couldn't figure out what was the problem. The problem was I was trying to fit a square peg in a circle hole. And that doesn't make sense, right? So by nature, I have a background that's very driven. I have a lot of passion. I love this stuff. Like I get up every day and I'm grateful and I'm thankful because I've been in another situation where I was not happy. And I know what that feels like. And that's a bigger driver than anything else, is to have to hope you never go back to that. And at the end of the day, building a legacy, building something bigger than myself, that can't happen when you work for someone else. And there's plenty of people that like to work for other people and they're worker bees, and that works. And I understand that. But when you have a different mindset, that doesn't make sense for me.
Man, that's really good. Yeah, I can actually relate to that completely. I'm definitely not a 9 to 5er. I like the freedom to be able to have that work schedule and just work as hard as I can at it. And I can relate to that completely. And, it's kind of interesting, society kind of does lead you down that road. It's almost like we drill into our kids, attend school, get good grades, go to college, get a good job. That is not necessarily the best advice to give just, to everybody. That doesn't fit everybody.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. The problem is, at the end of the day, is we teach people, we try to put everyone in one bucket, and everyone doesn't belong in one bucket. And I was, and no fault of my folks or my parents, but at the end of the day, they felt like the bucket for everyone was go to high school, go to college, get a job, continue to work for 40 years, then retire and move on. But at the end of the day, the problem is, you can't force yourself to do something that doesn't make sense. And to really find it took me I thought of a million different ideas and what I was going to do. And I could open this business, that business, tanning salons, ice cream shops, all this different stuff, and never had the ability to really take the plunge. And once I finally took the plunge in real estate, I figured it out. Like, this is what it's all about. This is it. Whether I'm selling widgets or real estate or cars or whatever, I don't want someone to tell me how good I can be. I don't want someone to tell me that I have a ceiling. I want to be able to pass and go right through people's limiting beliefs. And it's the limitations that people put on us that hold us back.
Ooh, that's good. That is absolutely true.
So, I study this. This stuff's important to me. I've become like a really at peace with my own kind of mindset. And, I kind of take, and it's funny. If anyone knows Kobe Bryant, he's got the Mamba mentality. That's just who I am. I'm a killer. That's like, I am a killer in the sense that I just want to be great. We have one chance at this thing called life. And what we do is we can either make the best of it or we can regret it. And I lived 10 years of regret, and I'll never let that happen again. And thankfully I learned, thankfully I got to see how bad the other side can be if you're not in that mindset. And now it's just like, be thankful for where you are, because at the end of the day, here today, gone tomorrow. And I'm holding on with their life because I know how important it is to me.
Yeah. It's interesting. You're, and I watched another interview of you, and you were asked if you read a book and if you read books, and you kind of responded, you're not a reader, right? So I can confidently say you've probably never read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but I'm sure that people have mentioned that to you at some point. What you just described was that book. It's the concept of what work will get you, and managing your time effectively, and understanding that there's a different type of mindset that leads you to success that maybe doesn't fit what the status quo is. And it sounds like you've kind of broken that mold a little bit unknowingly. Obviously, it's just your nature, it's your personality, it's who you are, and you just do that, and you got a drive in you to accomplish it. But I think you kind of nailed it. It's like you don't want to go back to what it was. So that is what you wake up every morning. You're like, man, I'm never going back to that guy.
No, 100%. Like, it's not even, and everybody, obviously we're all smart people, so you know the math. You sell 500 plus units. I mean, you know what the math looks like, but it's not about money. It's not. I mean, it's not about, I own 90 units. I flip X amount of houses a year. We sell all those properties. The brokerage now has 120 agents and whatever. You know what it's about? It's about the game. It's about the chase. It's about the challenge. It's the process. It's the process to get there. And I tell people this all the time, like, you can take every dollar I have, you can burn every house I have, you can start me off back at zero, but I have the blueprint. I know exactly what I did to get here. Blood, sweat, tears, whatever that was, like, I know what it took. And you're not going to outwork me. So at the end of the day, like all the agents around here, you have a lot of people that hate on me, obviously, and they don't know me from a hole in the wall, but they'll hate. Like, I've heard so many, I've heard so many stories about how I got here. One was that I had a gambling ring in my basement of the office. I mean, I hear everything, but at the end of the day, the reality is how I got here was working my tail off. And you will not outwork me. 16 hours, 17 hours, 18 hours, whatever I need to do to make sure that I put the best day forward, I'm going to do it. And I have this kind of innate, I don't know if it's a guilt or an innate feeling that if I didn't do my best, it'll eat at me. So I know if I have a bad day, I need to make up for it the next day. I don't have someone that needs to push me. I push myself.
Yeah.
Hey, can we talk a little bit about the blueprint that you have for that? I know that agents listening are real curious about that. I mean, when we read your bio and everything, the sheer number of units that you do is amazing. Do you have any tips on how you keep everything straight and get everything done?
So treat every client like it's your last client. Treat every deal like it's the most important deal you have, and pick up the phone and dial. Pick up the phone and dial. And what I mean by that is the easy route is to call, is to text or email or do those different things. When you don't have a business, you have to start from zero. The only way to get business is get in front of people. The only way to get in front of people is picking up the phone and dial. And what I mean by that is, yes, you may have to call some people, that you may do some circle prospect, some farming, some other stuff, but get in front of people. It's bigger than just sending a mass text or sending an email or doing a little post. Like, get out there, show who you are, do videos so people know what you're about, do all the different things that really show who you are, what you're about, and how you can help provide a service, and go into it to add value. Don't be a giver, not a taker. And at the end of the day, I do a lot of stuff on my social media, and a lot of it is giving free value that I could charge a lot of money for. But at the end of the day, givers gain, and it is what it is.
Yeah, that's good. It's pretty much like everyone we've had kind of on the show, it kind of follows that narrative in a way. It's all about those relationships. But, this beginning of this year, I chose a word, and I was going to mention this in the introduction, but I chose a word for myself to set my goals based on, and that was the word impact. And because, we had a major impact in 2020, and I wanted to figure out a way, what word would encompass a lot of my goals, and impact kind of kept coming up. It's like, if I can have an impact on the people around me in a positive way, what does that look like? And that is exactly that, providing value back to the person. And I think that's what you said. Like, it's that personal touch. People are wanting that communication more than they ever have. Picking up the phone and calling versus just seeing text on your screen is big time difference. And it's that subtle differentiator between yourself and probably every other realtor in the community you're working with. They're all just texting. And it does take more time to make a call. It does.
Yep. It takes more time, and it takes a little more kahunas to make a call, right? It's a little harder. Everyone can hide behind. It's funny you said the word. So I have a word that I've started like sticking in my head, and it's noun, right? So the word noun, right? Be a good person, go to good places, and give good things, right? So be a noun. Right. So I tell myself that all the time, like, be a noun, like, let's go, like, be that good person, go somewhere good and give good things. Like, if you do that stuff and you really follow that, I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. Man, that's really good. That's a great takeaway. Very good takeaway. Be a noun. I love that.
Right. Be a noun.
That's good.
I don't read, but I know what a noun is.
That's great. That's good. So with all of that, so we're talking about you working 16 hours or even more if need be, making these calls. You're juggling. So you got this work and personal life. And I know a lot of our agents out there, it's a constant struggle. How do you find yourself juggling those two things effectively, where you're not negating one over the other? So elaborate on that a little bit, because that's a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, so that's really difficult for anyone to do, right? Especially someone doing. So let's just talk about that. So we do the 500 units. I own the brokerage. I am the person in charge of that. I have a bunch of flips I work on. My buy and holds. I own a pawnbroker. I own a bunch of other businesses. But one thing that I do really well with is time management and efficiency. So I have two wonderful daughters, 7 and 5 years old. They're my top clients. Like, they get booked first before everything else. So I coach basketball, softball, soccer. I go to every swim, every karate. I'm at everything. Mondays is karate and swim for 2 hours. Wednesday is what do we do? Wednesday, I rent out a gym and we do basketball training for them for an hour. And then I bring them to school Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday's karate. Friday's basketball at night. Saturday's softball. I mean, I'm at everything. But why? Because they're the first thing that I book every week. And my staff knows you don't overbook that. Whatever you do, that stuff comes first. And I think it's hard for people to understand that. And they're going to say, well, how can you shouldn't have to do that. It's your kids, or you shouldn't have to book time for yourself. Well, you do. When you get to that point, like if I want to go out and grab a dinner, I'll book on my calendar, dinner, don't book over this, so that I know, hey, this is time to grab. This is time that I need. And I think that's one of the important things that I think people fail to realize is using your schedule and being efficient with your time and being proficient and trying to only operate and do things that are either income generating or the opportunity cost isn't greater than what you're already doing.
Man, that's a great point. You really should, as a business owner, agent, I'll just to summarize it as a time audit. It's take a look at where you're allocating your time. Going back to even our original question we were just talking about at the very beginning, is time is like our most crucial asset that we can actually control. It's more important than money, because time is money. And if you negate doing that and you don't spend time doing the things you need to be doing that generate income, you're not growing, you're not going anywhere. So I think that's absolutely key. Time blocking. Are you a big time blocker, or do you guys just more ebb and flow? Like,
let me just show you something. That's my schedule today.
You go.
Those are all the appointments that I have today. You see how many times I'm double and triple and quadruple booked?
Yeah.
So what I'm very good at is saying, okay, I have 3 things at 10 o'clock. Which one should I attend? Which one can I get someone on staff to be at? What's the best use of my time? And we block every half hour, usually I'm in my office at 6:30 in the morning to kind of go over stuff from the prior day. That's whether I went to bed at 5:30 or I went to bed at midnight. Whatever that is, I am here every day, 7 days a week. That's how important this is to me. That's how much I realize that I am so fortunate to not work something that I hate. I don't live a life that I hate. So many people live these lives that they don't like. I don't want to live that way. I've done that, been there, done that. I want to get away from that. So for me, like, I just have this passion for, doing what you want and being able to build and having no ceiling, and really at 38, being able to put something together that's so much bigger than me, that's so much more powerful, that my 2 kids, hey, you ever want to get into this? Great. If you don't, look what dad built for you. Here you go. So that's kind of exact. It comes down to generational wealth. And how do you build generational wealth? You build it by different streams of income. You build it by having hard assets. And that's what we're looking to do, and diversifying. So, I really enjoy it. And you can ask anyone that's in my staff. I mean, this is it. This is what it is all day, every day. I talk about another thing. You ever watch the Michael Jordan documentary?
Yes.
So so I relate very well to his mentality. Watching that was almost scary, because we have very similar thought process. Obviously, he's different in his field than my field, but the one thing I took away from that I'll never forget, and one thing that a couple of the people in my staff we talk about, is the one differentiator between Michael Jordan and anyone else outside of his skill set was he was always present. He was always present. And his guy, who was his right-hand man, said that he's like, when Michael was there, he was present. And if you can really understand what that means, that's so valuable. And that's something that we all can be better at. I need to do so much better at it. And I'm trying to learn how to be present all the time, whether it's with my kids, whether it's in a meeting, whether it's with the buyer, whether it's with the seller, whatever that is, being present adds value. Being present shows, and if you're really, really good at something and you're present, you're almost in a no-lose situation. You can't lose.
Man, that's good. Present. Yeah, man, that is true. It's really hard more than ever to do that. There's so many distractions and new ones being invented every day.
Correct. And it's how do we take someone like myself with ADD to the 35 millionth power and rein that in so that we're present.
Wow. Yeah, that's a daily challenge.
Great point. I think people need to keep that in their minds when they're going about their days, because so often the text message comes in or something distracts you away from what it is you're supposed to be doing, or the person that's right there in front of you. And it can be insulting, to some people, that you shift away from what you're doing in the present with them to everything else you have going on.
Yeah, I think that's essentially what it comes down. And it gets really hard as you get really busy. The busier you get, the harder it gets. Like, I'm pulled in a million directions. And I was talking, so one of the video guy that works for me, my camera guy, he and I reconnected probably a year and a half ago. And he's the reason I'm at Century 21, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
He and I were talking, and he went to Keller Williams, what is it called? The thing, family reunion. So we went to the family reunion in Dallas, or wherever it was. I think it was Dallas. And before we left, he said something to me, and it just stuck. He said, "Wow, that's great that you were #1 for 5 years in a row." He's like, "You're a real schmuck." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" I'm like, "You just came here for like 1 day. I hired you, buddy. Like, what the hell are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you're a real jackass." And I'm like, "Okay, elaborate." And he said, "You've already proved you can do this for 5 years. Why continue to do this? Why not build something bigger than you? Like, if you continue to do this, all you've proved is you can do one thing. If you want to be great and you want to be a mogul and you want to be next level, go out and do something bigger than you. Build something that you don't have right now. Build something from scratch. Get a new challenge. Start over again." And it kind of just sat with me. And it was like, at the same time I was talking to these guys, and I'm like, he's kind of right. I am the jackass. I am yeah, great. You can be #1. All right, we get it. Like, we get it. So now it's a function of being #1 and adding the brokerage, being #1, adding the brokerage and doing the coaching we're going to be coming out with a coaching program for all Century 21 agents.
Yeah, I heard about that. I was going to ask you about that as well, that you were working on. I mean, and to be honest, I can't think of a better coaching material coming from somebody that's been #1 in the nation. I mean, come on. Like,
right. And a lot of it, I've spent so many hours with Brian and the guy and Julie up at Century 21 to put this together. I mean, we've probably spent 10, 15 hours a week for a year almost now on getting this stuff up and running. So there's a lot of content in there, and a lot of it is just my spin on things, my swagger, my spin, the way that I see things, and the mindset component, because I think that's inherently what's really important.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, that was kind of one of our questions for you too, is like, because you were with Keller Williams for so long, you had huge success there, and then you switch over to Century 21 and you start off new and began to rebuild this new brand. And so elaborate, I mean, you kind of touched on it just a little bit, but go a little bit more in detail on like that process for me, just because, I mean, that took some guts, man. I mean, like you had this ball rolling in one brand, and you're like, hey, look, you're kind of reached the top. It's like, now what?
That's what it was. So it's the now what. So we reached the top, need to make a change, had to understand what that change was. But at the end of the day, make that change. I mean, there was no guarantee I would have 2 agents, never mind 120. And in 6 months, we've grown to 120 agents, and goal is 200 by the end of the year. And I think at the end of the day, it's a function of people in my marketplace really seeing and wanting to be around something special, and understanding that what we're trying to build here is special, and understanding that I can provide a different level of value from my success that you're not going to get anywhere else. You're going to get a broker who's still connected, who's still doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah. So what was it like? So So when you were doing this, I mean, obviously you were looking at all models. You were looking at different franchises. I mean, I would think.
Yeah.
And so what was it about Century 21 that kind of said, hey, look, this is where I can scale this thing and accomplish what I need to accomplish?
So it was a couple of things. It was number one, I like the old school feeling with a new school twist. I like that there was a rebranding going on. I liked management, met with Mike a bunch of times, met with Brian a bunch of times. I like their style. I like the ability for me to open offices kind of wherever I want and do what I please. And the autonomy to really run the business the way I want, not to have to follow any sort of quote unquote model or any sort of like really allow the agents to do what they want and allow myself to run the business the way I want to run it. And then be able to grow and learn from some of the other brokers in the network. I wasn't a believer in the EXP online Sim City, whatever the hell they're doing over there. Remax thing just didn't tickle my fancy. And then Keller Williams they were already saturated in offices. So I said, okay, let me figure this thing out and go from there. And it's a new brand. And I think a lot of people get excited when something new comes back. So that was a good thing. And it also allowed me to recruit pretty well because people know the brand.
That's a big one.
Yeah. So the
absolutely.
Brand recognition for agents was important. So that agent that does 5 to 10 deals at least can hang their flag on a Century 21 backdrop.
Yeah, that's good. You know, and I think I would agree with everything you just said. My experience with Century 21 has been just that, the ability for agents to come in and take their existing business model, the one that they're already kind of working in, and attach it to a very strong brand and not have to really adapt too much of it. And it fits right in, and they still get the support of all that the brand offers. And that's a rare thing in our industry. A lot of brokerages, like you were saying, like they have their model and you have to fit inside of that model. And to be honest,
support it.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, there's a little bit of a risk element there. If you adhere to this model, you're at the mercy of the market. If something changes, you have a much more difficult time to adapt quickly to it, to then make those changes yourself when you have to adhere to a strict model. So I think Century 21 allows us to make some, you know, fluctuations there relatively quickly.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's important. I lost my train of thought. My phone started going crazy. It's crazy.
No worries, man.
The other thing, what was I gonna say? We were talking about the model and the Century 20. Yeah, I mean the other thing the sad thing. So here's the really thing that really got to me, and this is no knock on any other firm. But when I'm number one in your firm for 4 years in a row, and you don't even have the audacity to ask me to be on a panel or ask me to ever do anything to how's it going?
Wow.
I question that. Are you paying attention? Are you really paying? I've been your top guy for 5 years now, and no one's even giving me the time of day. So to me, I was like, yeah, no, next, on to the next. So that was a real negative for me.
Well, I mean, go ahead.
No, I have about 4 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, on that same thought, it's like, you know, really you're in business with these people. Like you're wanting to team up with people that's got your back, and you want to know that they've got you. If you're going to help them build something great, you want to know that they're going to help you as well, right? I mean, that's just big. That's just good business. Right.
And then it was when I left, then they started to reach out, and, or when I announced that we were leaving, I think a little too late. Should have probably paid attention to that before. One other thing I want to kind of get out there, I think is important to note. I did all these transactions and still do by myself. That's very, very important that everyone understands that. The 500 plus deals, every one of them was only my client. I don't share clients. I don't have buyer agents. I have quote unquote runners that are agents that help fill in if I'm triple booked. But all this business in the last 10 years is all on my back. These are all my sellers, all my buyers. Every lead from me.
That is absolutely something, because a lot of times that's not the case. A lot of times,
I know it's not.
Everybody else.
Right, and that's why I need to let people understand that that's not the brokerage closings. Those are my closings. I could name every single buyer or seller on all those transactions. And
Wow.
I've been involved. I've showed I still show houses all day long. I'm with buyers I start every day and 7 days a week, and I'm out with buyers or sellers all day long. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think that's super important to note, because in our area there are, very high producing agents, but they're actually taking credit for many other agents on their team, sales, and crediting it to them. So yeah, doing that by yourself is astounding.
This is all me. There's no one else. No one else knows. This is mine. They're all my clients.
Yeah, that's good. Kyle, I want to be respectful of your time, but real quick, just what are some of your top lead sources that you would say drive most of those transactions? Give us 3 of them. What's your top 3?
Zillow, Boomtown, Facebook.
Wow. Okay. Awesome.
You can fire questions if you want. I got 3-4 minutes. So if you want to fire anything, I'll answer anything.
All right.
Anybody, whatever.
Yeah. Is there any questions out there? I know Steve Robinson made a comment. He's the principal broker owner of Century 21 Advantage Realty. He said, "Good morning, Kyle. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It has been awesome having you on the show today. Many thanks."
You are so welcome, my friend.
Yeah. If anybody's got questions, just drop them in the comments for us. But so just what are you aiming for now? What's 2021? What's your goal there?
So goal this year, continue to be, so I don't know where 2020 landed as far as the Wall Street Journal top agent. Goal was to be number 1. Goal this year will be to be number 1 again, but to build the brokerage to 200 agents, to have almost 10 offices at that point. So 200 agents, 10 offices. Right now we have 7. Get the coaching thing up and running, and really just become a better coach every single day, because that's something that I want to be really good at long term. And I see that's where this goes in the future. Obviously, slinging 3 families around in Providence isn't hopefully the answer for the next 15 years. But I think there's a huge value that I can bring to this business and industry in general.
I would totally agree with that.
I just need the right platform, and right now it's just practicing to get there.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you. Okay, got a question for you. It's going to come in from our buddy Johnny Knight.
Oh, my man. Oh, the spaghetti theory. Spaghetti theory is interesting. So it is very similar to what we talked about. You talked about lead gen. So I firmly believe in this. It's take a bunch of spaghetti, throw a lot at the wall, and see what sticks. And whatever sticks, pour gasoline on it. And what I mean by that is everyone in every different area is going to have different ways to get business. You need to have so many different ways that you're trying to garner business that they're all on the wall. And once something starts to work, you pour gasoline on it. And every 6 months you look at it and say, this is working, this isn't working. Let's flip. Let's switch it up, and let's follow the spaghetti theory over and over again. So we do that a lot. We work on that a lot. We throw a lot of stuff on the wall, and some things stick and some things don't. But at the end of the day, I never take a loss. I take a lesson.
That's really good. I mean, that's absolutely true. You have to keep doing that.
Yeah, I have to, because
this
business evolves. This business, the way to generate leads is always going to change. If you're not changing with it, you're left behind. And if you're left behind, you can't expect to produce at a super high level. And high level production is what really gets me going every day.
I love it, man.
Yeah, great point. There is no magic bullet, and if you found one, it might be different tomorrow, right?
Well, that's what I get. The most frequent question I get is, tell me your secret. My secret is there is no secret. What do you want me to tell you? There's no secret here. I mean, the secret is that I outwork you. The secret is, while you're on the couch eating potato chips or whatever, I'm thinking of my next move. I'm being present in this business all day, every day. I'm immersed in it, right? But at the end of the day, I've still scheduled enough for my children, and I'm there and I'm present with them. But it's just finding that, kids go to bed, I'm working.
Yeah. That's what it takes, man. That's what it takes.
So yeah, hopefully that answers some of your questions. Hopefully this was helpful.
Oh, Kyle, this was great. Very, very good. And hey, just want to say a special thank you for putting this on your calendar as a must.
Well, when you were texting me, I'm like, I'm the woman who works with me. I'm like, Jen, you better figure this out. Get on this thing right now and figure this out. I can't leave this guy hanging. I'm like, I feel so bad. He's emailed me 100 times, but it's just a function of, let me just see something real quick. So, like, we've been on the phone. Like, yeah, I have 139 emails, 54 texts, and I mean, it's just that's every day. It's been a half hour, so it's
wow.
It's pulled in a lot of directions, but it is what it is. You learn to adapt. You learn to become a chameleon, and if this is what you want, you have to go get it. And that's at the end of the day.
Well
where
said.
we're at. So I hope
Well
this is
said.
helpful. Where y'all at? Georgia?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. So is it warm there or cold?
Right now it's pretty cold. We dodged the ice though. I mean, well, at least I did. I think northern part of Kentucky hit all kinds of
Yeah.
snow
Does
and
it
ice.
snow in Kentucky? It snows in Kentucky?
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
No way. You're lying.
No, we
It
get
is-
a good amount of snow sometimes. Yeah.
Really? Oh wow, it's freezing here. It's like super cold. Like your nose will freeze. You go outside here. It's so cold.
Oh yeah. No, our cold is not that cold.
Oh man, it's miserable. But
Yeah.
you just gotta get it. So think about that. Still, we're fighting the cold. We're like Eskimos out here selling igloos.
Man, you got to bundle up tight to go show houses, especially the vacant ones that don't have heat on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm like, my toes are frozen. But you know what? I tell people this all the time. The only way you would stop me, you got to hit me by a bus. If you don't hit me by a bus and decapitate me, I'm going to keep going. That's around. No cold, no warm. I dress the same way, no matter it's 100 degrees or 4 degrees. It doesn't matter.
I love it. That's
All right.
so good.
Determination there.
All right, so I'm going right now to go see a 42-unit off-market building. I've got 10 buyers coming to see it. We're gonna double end this $3.8 million property right now.
Oh man,
So
go make it happen.
Happy Friday, boys and girls.
Awesome,
right.
Kyle. Go make some money, my friend.
Thank
you
you
guys.
so much.
You're
See
welcome.
ya. Thank you.
Bye now.
See you, buddy. Awesome.
Yeah, it is
Man, I
awesome.
tell you, hard worker.
Yeah. Relentless worker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over
So
and over.
I know he needed to go, but I want to make sure to get this out there. So if you guys want to connect with Kyle, here's some information to do so. You can go onto facebook.com and search for Kyle Seyboth. .tst / is what that address is. Instagram is at Kyle Seyboth, the Seyboth Team. And then Twitter is at Kyle Seyboth. And then you got his actual Century 21 office. There's that information there. So be sure to follow him and get in contact with him if you're in the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area, or if you're an agent watching and you just want to follow and learn some good stuff. He posts some really, really good stuff for you guys. All right. So great conversation. Now we're going to move on to another one. We've got one of our own, Mike Nolen.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and have a conversation with Mike.
Very interesting guy.
Very. I love it. It's going to be fun. Here we go. All right, so we're going to interview one of our very own agents out of our Richmond, Kentucky office with Century 21 Advantage Realty, the Mr. Mike Nolen. So that's how you get a hold of that guy. Before we bring him into the show, I'm going to read a little quick bio for him, and then we're just going to have a great conversation. So Mike Nolen was born and raised in Ashland, Kentucky. He is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, a graduate of Morehead State University with a bachelor's in business, and is a Kentucky colonel. Mike has been licensed in real estate since October of 2012, currently living in Lexington. Mike has also lived in Louisville and Mount Sterling, Kentucky. Over the years, Mike has also worked in the beer distribution industry, allowing him to work all over the great state of Kentucky. So, Mike, come on into the show, my friend. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys.
Hey, good morning.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Coming in clear.
Great. How you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for coming on the show, my friend.
Oh, it's great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So now are you currently in Lexington right now?
I am. I'm in Lexington. Yep.
Okay. Weather bad?
The roads are a little icy, but it's not too bad. The road crew's been pretty good about getting everything cleaned up. But yeah, I'm at the house right now, and after this, I'm actually going to a showing, so I'll see what the roads are like then.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, you're the road warrior, man.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, Mike is one of our king negotiators. So
That's
something
right.
that maybe everybody doesn't know about too, but
That might be the one thing that that people don't know a lot about is, you know, I'm such a laid back guy and I'm an easygoing guy, but when it comes to negotiation, I'm pretty much a bulldog.
I would agree. Matter of fact, we were just talking about your negotiation skills, weren't we? Like, what about the tree service? Was that it?
Yeah, that's before the tree service people showed up. There's been people knocking on the door all day long. Hey, can we get the trees? Because with the ice, I had a couple limbs fall, and luckily I've got one of my neighbors is actually a tree guy, so he came and took care of that. But yeah, just the art of negotiation is just something that, I kind of pride myself in. Sometimes every deal is completely different. So for me, anytime I go into a deal, you try to be creative and find a way to win, to win the contract for your buyer. Because sometimes you're up against, especially now, 10, 15 different people anytime you go into a deal. So,
I would agree.
Offers. So sometimes you have to get really creative with offers, and maybe you got to include tree service or any. Just depends on whatever the situation is.
What it takes to get the deal done.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know you've pulled off some pretty big negotiations for your clients, and I think that's important to mention that you kind of see what your clients' desires are, what they really need, what it's going to take for them, and do that extra step to try to get them more than a traditional negotiated sale would be.
I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of first-time home buyers. Actually, probably 90% of my buyers have all been first-time home buyers, so they've entrusted me to help them with that buying process. And so with that, a lot of times, younger buyers, first-time buyers, you want to try to get those closing costs paid for. So for me, I'm really good at convincing, the sellers to pay for those closing costs, because those, as that can be really expensive on top of the appraisal, the home inspection fees, everything else is associated with the home buying process. It can be expensive. So, I really want my clients I want to take care of them. So that's one thing, again, I pride myself in trying to come up with creative ways to save them money or, get the best deal for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it can mean the difference of them being able to purchase a property or not. Just that negotiating the closing costs and things for them.
I've definitely had clients who, if they didn't get the closing costs paid for, there's no way they would have been able to buy the home. So
Right.
That's just part of it.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
you're always working. We talk about relationships on the show all the time. Mike knows everybody.
Yes, he does. In the state of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Always working, always friendly, always willing to help people.
Yeah, I'm a road warrior. I really go back and forth between Lexington and Louisville. I've practically lived in both cities for the last few years. And that's just a part of it. Like Kyle said, you have to work. You have to outwork me. And so I pride myself on giving them all, doing 110%. I've wrote contracts at midnight at night. You do have to manage your time, but sometimes time is of the essence, as we say in the industry. And so sometimes it may be midnight. You may have to be writing a contract, because if you don't get it in that night, you may lose a deal. So, I'll do what's necessary, what needs to be done. But I also agree, you also have to be able to, have a really tight schedule. And, sometimes you may have to say, no, I can't do 5 o'clock. I can do 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Or, you really have to be up on your time management skills, especially with me. I've worked a couple jobs, being in the beer distribution industry as well. I've had to really be flexible with my time, but also understand how to manage my time. And I think I've done a great job with that.
Yeah, I would agree. So walk us through, man. So tell us how you got into real estate. Like, what is it that led you into the real estate industry to begin with?
It's kind of funny. Like, growing up, I was really close with my mom, and we'd always watch HGTV shows. We'd always watch all those different real estate shows and flipping shows and house decorating shows. And that's just something I would always just do with my mom. And I was just always interested in being in this industry. So I was working at AT&T, and I could kind of see the job for me just wasn't really going anywhere. And the store that I worked for was a franchise-owned store. The owner was getting ready to sell the store. So I kind of seen that as an opportunity to go ahead and go after it. So I went and got my license in the middle of the summer while I was still in college, and just went for it. That's really the whole thing, is I just had the opportunity to go and get it. So I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what made you decide Century 21? Once you got your license, you're trying to figure out where you want to be.
Well, I worked with some other brokerages before. But, honestly, for me, I am a people person, and for me, after I met Steve and talking with him and his values and the way that he sees things and the way his work ethic, I like the fact that he was a veteran, things like that. I just really like what he stood for. So that's what decided to bring me to Century 21. I'm really glad that I did. I love the office in Richmond. They even considered, switching over to the Lexington office since I live in Lexington now, but I like working with you, Jane, and Nikki so much that I decided to stay with the Richmond office.
Yeah, I'm so happy you did. I had the opportunity and the pleasure to help mentor Mike when he first came on. And, although he was an agent, there's some little bit of differences with this brokerage versus his past one. And it was a great experience for myself as well. And it's been great having you.
Now, you've been great. I call you. I try to call you all the time, and it's usually a question, but you've always had an answer for me, and I've loved working with you, and I really appreciate all the help you've given me.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's my pleasure. We have a lot of fun. Mike's really super fun to talk to. Sometimes he'll call me late at night, and it doesn't bother me a bit. It's always happy and jovial and super great to work with you, Mike.
And Nikki said, I'm glad you stayed in Richmond too. You got some love there, Mike.
Hey, Nick.
I love it. So, Mike, tell us, what was the one decision that put you on the course to where you are now? What was it that one pivotal moment?
Growing up, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I would have to say the United States Marine Corps, joining the Marines. It gave me a whole new level of confidence. It changed. I didn't really have a direction or have a cause. And even then, after I joined, when I came out of the service, I still didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, but I had the confidence to know that I could do anything that I put my mind to. So I'd have to say the Marines. It really made me who I am today. That's.
Well, sincerely, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Mike, I know at one point you were doing both your distributing and the real estate career. What finally gave you that extra push to go into that? Because you're doing real estate pretty much full time now, right?
I'm actually doing both full time and really have been for the last few years. Again, it's just the time management part of it. I've established such a good rapport with my customers on the distribution side of things that, they know what I'm offering and what I'm selling. So a lot of it is a phone call, a text, and email. So it allows me to work from anywhere, whether it's in Lexington or Louisville. So really, I've really been focused on real estate the last 2 years, just as much as probably even more than distribution, just because, I'm really passionate about real estate. And it was something I always wanted to get into. And, not only just, doing the negotiations and working with clients, but also just, I love touring homes. I really enjoy architecture, even once a year, I try to take a trip to Europe not only just to go see Europe, but I love walking around the neighborhoods and just seeing the different homes and the modern homes versus the older homes over there, just like you have here. And,
That's really cool.
It's something I really enjoy. Like, I'll come back and have pictures of doors that I've taken pictures of that you just don't see here. Like these old doors from the 1800s or 1700s. And it's just.
Now, you just recently sold your own home, your personal home. And I know you were talking a little bit earlier about the HGTV and the remodeling and redecorating.
Yeah.
Adam, I don't know if you saw it, but his little house was beautiful. He did such an amazing job. People kind of tease, the bachelor pad this or that. Mike's house was an actual beautiful home. It was not just a house.
I got to see the pictures of it. It was amazing. Yeah,
really
definitely
was.
Not a bachelor pad.
No.
Thank you.
It was beautiful.
Shotgun style home that, I did all the, I guess all the interior design myself. I picked out all the couches, everything that was in the house. I chose because, I'm a single dude. So, but a lot of my decorations and pictures actually came back just from my travels. But yeah, thank you. And, really, for me, the key to selling that home was the backyard. I put a good amount of money in the landscaping right before I sold it, and that really made the difference. And that's something I'd want to tell people when you go to list your home. You really have to look at the whole picture. So landscaping is really important. When people can visualize themselves sitting in a backyard behind a campfire or by a fire pit and have different nice seating and just nice flowers, all that makes a big difference.
Yeah, your ability to do that, I'm sure, helps a lot of your clients, because when you're listing property and going through, you have a really good eye to say, hey, let's change this or let's do that to make this more inviting.
Yeah, it could probably also be a little overwhelming too, because it'll be like, we'll walk in the home and I'm like, okay, let's tear down this wall, that wall, this wall, and you do this and that and the other. It's going to cost you about $50,000, but you're going to have the perfect home. And they're like, huh? It might be,
yeah.
It depends on who I'm with, and if some people want to renovate and some people don't. Some people want it to already be done for them, but especially those buyers that want to modify their homes. I've got one of my friends who recently purchased a home for me. She bought a ranch with a full-size basement. The entire home needed to be flipped. The same owners had lived there since 1971.
Wow.
Completely changed everything about the house, and it looks so great. She took 2 bathrooms and converted it into one on the top floor. She painted the walls like this emerald green. It's fun to watch people who, after they buy a home, go in and make it their own.
Yeah.
It is. It's really exciting. Hey, Steve, here you go. Hey, Mike, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate you greatly. I'm so thankful you are part of our C21 family, and thank you for your service.
That's one thing I love about Steve. I think every Tuesday he must have on his calendar to text me about 3:00. I think it's every Tuesday he texts me and says how he appreciates me working for the team. And, again, that's another reason why I came to Central 21, because I just really like my conversations I've had with him, and he's a genuine guy. And
he is.
Because if he wasn't, I'd have smelled that real quick, and I wouldn't have here.
That's true. I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, Donna says, hello, my friend, Rolling with Nolen. Great work ethic for others to use as an example of discipline in action.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah, Rolling with Nolen kind of is loosely kind of my tagline. That is something that people say to me. A lot of people just call me Nolen. Growing up, kids called me Nolen. In the military, they call you by your last name, so it's kind of stuck. So sometimes when I hear Mike, sometimes I'll look to make sure they're talking to me.
That's great. So, Mike, we're coming to the end here, buddy. What is the best way that somebody can get in contact with you if they're wanting to buy or sell any real estate in Kentucky?
Call or text me, email me. There's my information there. The best way is usually just by phone. Like I said, pick up the phone and call me. If I don't answer, leave a voicemail. I may be in a meeting or in a showing. You can always text. I'll always reply back. Emails, it's great too to email me, but that might get lost in the shuffle because everyone gets so many emails. But just give me a call at 606-923-8855. If you're one that likes to text, shoot me a text first, and then we can set up a time to talk, But that's the best way to get a hold of me, is just give me a call or shoot me a text.
Perfect. Mike, thank you so much for all you do. Again, thank you for your service, and thank you for being a part of the Central 21 Advantage Realty family.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Mike. Good seeing you.
Take care.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
Genuine.
Yeah,
I mean, he is
great
just
guy. Super fun to
just
work with.
Yes. So, guys, I encourage you guys, if you guys need any real estate services, please give Mike Nolen a call. He would love to work with you. So please consider doing so. Jane, we're at the end of the show. It's been a good one.
It has. It's gone fast.
It has. It always does. It always does. So, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed this show. If you did, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Basically, just hit that little button, ring the bell, and there's also a little thumb up. Smash that little like button as well. That would help all those little beautiful algorithms to go to work and help us to grow the show as well. So we thank you all for coming and being a part of the show. And Jane, anything else before we sign off?
No, quick, tell us what's coming up next week.
Oh, yes. So next week, we have the infamous and most famous coach, Jared James, coming on the show. So he is a real estate coach.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So that's next Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Same place you're watching it now. We'll have him on the show and we'll talk and everything about that. And you might want to actually go check out Jared James. He's doing a live show. Actually, it might be wrapped up now, but he's got a live show going on that you can go back and rewatch. And he is talking in that show about the Zillow acquisition of Showing Time. So he is talking about that acquisition, and we'll dive into that conversation with him next Friday as well. But in the meantime, you can go catch him on that live stream and watch the replay of that.
He's on Instagram and YouTube. You can watch a lot of his coaching videos if you kind of want to get a sneak peek of who he is before, so you have better questions for him next week would be great.
Yep. Perfect. Oops. So that's good. So guys, that wraps up the show for today and this week. In the meantime, remember that be fearless, keep pushing forward, and never stop being relentless in your pursuit of excellence. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.